Hello dear students, this is Neerja Rani Pathak, Professor of English, posted at Government College Machandar. I welcome you in this session of video lecture prepared for the Hemchand Yadav University Durg. This session is about S.T. Coleridge as the poet of the supernatural with a special reference to the rhyme of the ancient mariner. Assuming that my PG students have gone through the text and are already aware of the prevailing literary trend and the background in which Wordsworth and Coleridge decided to launch upon their project of lyrical ballads and the division of job between them, that Wordsworth would deal with the natural and Coleridge with the supernatural, I straightaway come to the topic of our present discussion. Coleridge undertook a formidable task to write such poems as his contribution to the lyrical ballads as will not tax the credulity of the readers despite the general supernaturalism of the incidents, lending an air of reality to the supernatural, and that too in the matter of fact prosaic world was not at all easy. But Coleridge succeeded in doing so by his most characteristic quality to induce belief in his unbelievable world. With a masterly insight, he thought of exploiting the characteristics of dream to create that willing suspension of disbelief for the moment which constitutes poetic faith. Now the dreams have a peculiar reality for us because they take place at the time when the critical faculty is asleep. For the same reason, they leave a semi-permanent impression on the memory even when we have fully come back to ourselves. This is true of this narrative poem also. Besides, just as the dreams have a curiously vivid quality, so does the poem have. And lastly, just as the dreams move in abrupt stages, so do the incidents of this poem, jostling us from one scene to the other without giving us time to think in transition. The protagonist of the poem is himself no ordinary human character. With glittering eyes, lank and lean body, skinny hands, he has a mesmeric and hypnotizing quality in his appearance. He does not draw or attract attention, but compels others with magnetic power to listen to him. On the whole, he has a ghostly air, a supernatural cast that may very well make us hold our breath in dreams. The incidents that happened to the ancient mariner are themselves such as can be considered the phantasmagoria of his heated and distorted imagination. After he has suffered intensely in the excessive heat and perfect drought, and after his nerves have been on the rack in the maddening silence all round, there come the spectral horrors for which we have become psychologically prepared by the earlier scenes of speechless pain in silence. Here is one such quotation from the text, which depicts the masterly skill with which we are prepared for such horrors. Down dropped the breeze, the sails dropped down, It was sad as sad could be, and we did speak only to break the silence of the sea. In the poem, Coleridge has left it splendidly vague whether the weird scenes that the ancient mariner describes were actual occurrences or mere phantasmagoria of his heated and distorted imagination. The reader cannot but give the benefit of doubt and lend credence to the otherwise impossible incidents of the poem. In close proximity with the supernatural happenings, Coleridge has given the faithful records of the sunrise, the sunset, and other natural occurrences. The transition from the natural to the supernatural and vice versa is so swift and effortless that very often we are unable to draw a distinct borderline between the two worlds, natural and supernatural. This gives a definite advantage to Coleridge's plan of making the supernatural appear as natural. A somewhat similar effect is created by the simple humanity with which the poem is saturated and which goes a long way to lend a convincing quality to the poem. Interwoven with the strange and recondite happenings are the primal emotions like hate, love, pain, remorse, and hope. In abstraction, the poem reads like a story of crime and punishment, which running through expiation leads to such redemption as is possible on this side of the grave. He prayeth well who loveth well, both man and bird and beast, is no moral tag attached to a fine narrative piece, but is something that pervades the entire poem. This makes the poem, despite its supernaturalism, a convincing human document. In this light, the supernatural incidents look like the dramatization of the pain that a man suffers in his soul after a sin is committed, a moral order is broken, a curse has befallen. Here I quote, "Alone, alone, all alone, alone on a wide, wide sea, and never a saint took pity on my soul in agony." Unquote. It is to the credit of Coleridge that he brings in all the trappings of suspense, enchantment, and awe into his poetic narrative. It would go without saying that these elements ultimately go to constitute the phantasmagoric supernatural and make Coleridge a past master. Here we come to the end of our discussion. My dear students, if a question like how does Coleridge bring out the shadows of imagination, that willing suspension of disbelief for the moment, which constitutes poetic faith in the rhyme of the ancient mariner, the answer should be around the same. Thank you.